Matthew Vaughn is a director whose unique take on action seems to vary slightly depending on the movie. His first movie, Rock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, was quite impressive, and it was a very provocative and sensational movie even at the time. Since then, he has shown another different movie with the Kingsman series, and probably had quite a big influence on many action movies. Matthew Vaughn released Argylle this time, and I thought it was strange that it didn't do well in theaters even though he is a famous director. My bias is that odd-only movies are kind of bad, but this movie, Argylle, was for Apple TV. Apple often releases odd movies in theaters. The story was pretty quirky. Ellie is a writer. She wrote the Argylle novels, which is the title of the movie, and she's done 4 of them and just started the 5th one. And they've become bestsellers because they're so realistic, like a real spy story, that people wonder how she can write a real spy story so well. I tell them it's because I do meticulous research. I show book 5, Talgo, to my mom first and she says she doesn't like it, that maybe she should go to Ellie herself and discuss it with her. And that she doesn't like it because it ends with the main character, Argylle, going to London. When she can't come up with an acceptable ending, she decides to go to her mom. While traveling on the train, she sits down with a rather shabby-looking man. He happens to be reading Argylle. When the man finishes reading, he asks Ellie if she's the right author. The man explains that the protagonist of Eli's novel is always dressed in a suit and is a spy like James Bond. The kind of spy we're familiar with from the movies. The man says he's actually a spy himself. He says the novel is so realistic that you'd think a real spy wrote it. Except for one thing, real spies look like him. Suddenly, unknown men show up with guns and knives, and the mystery man fights them off. The mystery man is Aiden, and he tells you that it's not him they're trying to kill, it's Allie. It doesn't make sense that they'd want to kill someone who's just writing a novel, but Aiden defends himself with his life. He tells you that Allie's novel is as detailed as if it were happening in real life. It sounds a little far-fetched, but it makes sense in the context of what's going on. Another twist here is Allie's real identity. It's strange how she's so good at writing about the spy world in such detail, and what she writes seems too real to be fiction. Aiden reveals to her that she's actually a spy. This is where the story takes a turn for the worse. She was in an accident on a mission and lost her memory, so she started writing through hypnosis as a way to save it. It was a long-term project that lasted 5 years. The movie makes Henry Cavill feel like the main character. She's more of a supporting character, but she's the main character, because she's the Argylle that Allie writes about. And she's the heroine of the story, so she's the cool one. Allie actually looks like she made her body on purpose, because she doesn't look like a spy at all. In general, I think novelists are rather skinny. I think Bryce Dallas Howard is like that because he's not a spy. Sam Rockwell seems to be perfect for specialized characters. He plays roles like the spy from Argylle quite often, and it seems to have become a character that comes to mind on its own. The gunfight between Allie and Aiden at the end of the movie with the smoke bombs is a well-thought-out shot by director Matthew Vaughn. It pales in comparison to the action scene in the church in Kingsman, but it's still worth watching. Allie's skating action when the crude oil is on the ground feels a bit overdone, and I wish they had taken a little more care with it. Jackson and Sofia Boutella appear in the movie, and it was nice to see Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad in the movie. It would be nice to see him more often in different works. A cat acts as a scene stealer in the movie, which is said to be Matthew Vaughn's actual cat. He did a good job, but I wonder how he did it. At the end, there is also a connection to Kingsman, which makes me think that maybe they are trying to bring this movie into the Kingsman universe.